Okay, we're on the Chapter 8 mid-chapter checkpoint. I'm going to go through some problems. We're going to do 5, 6, 7, and 12, and 14. So let's take a look. So 5, 6, and 7 are all the same style of problem. We're going to write the fraction as a product. So a product means that it's a multiplication problem, and we have a whole number and a unit fraction. So we know what a whole number is. It's not a fraction, right? So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, those whole numbers that are not broken up into smaller pieces. And a unit fraction is how many parts a whole is divided into. So if we remember that a unit fraction is always written as a 1 on the top and then the number of parts on the bottom. So that's an important thing to remember for these three problems. So we're writing a product, so we have a multiplication problem of a whole number and a unit fraction. So we know that all of our answers have to be a whole number and a unit fraction, and the unit fraction is always 1 out of the total number of parts. So if we look at 4/10 here, we know that our units, the amount it's being broken into is tenths. And actually I'm gonna, where am I gonna write this? We'll write it right here. Okay, so we have 4/10. We know that the total it's coming out of is a tenth, right? Actually, I'm gonna grab a piece of paper so that this might work a little better if we do it this way. So our problem is 4/10. We have, and we need to make it into a product, a multiplication problem, using our unit fraction and our whole number. So if we have tenths here, what would our unit fraction be? So we know that a unit fraction is 1 part out of the whole, so it always has a 1 on the top. So if we look at this, this means that 10 is how many parts it's broken into. So we know that our unit fraction will be 1/10. So we have a whole number times a unit fraction. So if we look at this one, we know that our unit fraction here is going to be 1/10. And our problem is 4/10, so we'll put that there. So if our unit fraction is 1/10, what would we have to multiply by 1/10 to get 4/10? So the answer is 4. Now this part is where I think it might be a little confusing. So we have our unit fraction of 1/10, and we multiply 4 times 1/10. And so 4 times 1 is 4. Now that part might be the part that's a little confusing. So if we say, here is, oh goodness, we're gonna have to do tenths here. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's our tenths, right? And we have our unit fraction is 1 of these tenths, so 1/10. By multiplying it, we're saying that we have 4 of these. Okay, so we have 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, 1/10. It would be the same because we have multiplication, which remember is repeated addition. So 4 times 1/10 would be the same as 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would equal 4/10 in the same way that 4 times 1/10 would equal 4/10. So our answer would be 4 times 1/10. Okay, our next problem is 8/12. So, and actually I forgot to label this over here. So this is problem number 5. And now we're going to do problem number 6, which is 8/12. So again, we know we need the whole number. We're going to multiply it, and we need our unit fraction. So if we look here, our total number of parts is 12. Our unit fraction always has the 1 on the top, so 1/12. we have our multiplication, and so our whole number here, how many of these do we have? If we look, we have 8. 8 times 1/12. And again, that would be the same as 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, we need one more. Plus 1/12. It's that repeated addition. Replaces our multiplication. So we have 8 of them. So that would be the same as 8/12, which would be the same as 8 times 1/12. I'm not going to draw it out this time, but I hope that makes sense there. And let's look at problem number 7, which is 3/4. So again, we have our 4 is how many pieces there are. So our unit fraction is going to be 1 over 4, 1/4. We're using multiplication, and our top number is a 3. So 3 times 1/4, which would also be the same as 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, which would be 3/4. 3 times 1/4. So that's how we do those 3. I hope that breaking it down makes a little sense. Let's jump over and look at problem number 12. Pedro cut a sheet of poster board into 10 equal parts. So we know 10 is going to be important. His brother used some of the poster board, and now 8/10 is left. Well, we know that's going to be important. Pedro wants to make a sign from each remaining part of the poster board. How many signs can he make? So one of the easy ways for me to do it is to make our poster board. The poster boards are pretty big, so there's 10 equal parts. So that's a lot of drawing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 10 equal parts on a poster board. And also, another way I can do this, if you don't really think you're good at drawing those little parts, I'm going to use my fraction strips here. You know, and if you don't have these at home, you can make them. And I might actually, note to self, be able to send you some that you could print off and use. 10's a lot, but we're almost there. This should be number 9 and number 10. So I have my sketch here. It's got 10 parts, so we divided it into 10 parts, right? 10 equal parts. Okay, so we got that. So it's out of 10 equal parts. So our unit fraction here would be 1/10. Now, it sounds like his brother used 8/10 of those boards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so he used 8/10 of the board. So I have 8/10 shaded in. Okay, so how much is left? So if I look here, I've got 2/10 left. So we have 2 sections. So if I look up here, if I remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it tipped, 8 out of my total here, I would have 2 pieces left, 2/10 left of our board. Okay, he wants to make a sign from each remaining part of the poster board. So if we have 2/10 left, we have 2 1/10 pieces left. If he wants to use each of those to make a sign, how many signs can he make? So if we have 2/10 left, or 2 1/10, and he wants to use a 1/10 piece, how many do we have left? How many signs can he make? 2. So of our 2 remaining pieces, he could make 1 sign with one and 1 sign with the other. Another way to look at this problem, we know that there are 10 total parts, right? 10/10 total. That's how many parts there are. His brother uses 8/10. So if I have 10/10 and I take away 8/10, it would be the same as this. But if you can think of this in your head and not have to draw it, 10 minus 8 is 2. So he would have 2/10 left. And if he was making something out of each of the pieces left, he'd have 2 pieces left. Good deal? Take a look at 14. Darren cut a lemon pie. I don't know how I feel about lemon pie. How about you? Into 8 equal slices. So we know that there's 8 slices. His friends ate some of the pie, and now 5/8 of the pie is left. Darren wants to put each slice of the leftover pie on its own plate. What part of the pie will he put on each plate? Oh my gosh, I think I may have answered this problem wrong. Darren wants to put each slice of the leftover pie on its own plate. What part of the pie will he put on each plate? So I'm betting that maybe you put that one as your answer. So 5/8 of the pie is left. So what I did here, we had 8 equal slices. So 8 out of 8. And his friends ate some, and we have 5/8 of the pie left. Which would be if it was divided into 8s. Clearly, so he would have, so they ate 1, 2, 3/5 of the pie. Or 3/8 of the pie. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 left. So there's our visual for that. He wants to put each slice of the leftover pie on its own plate. So he wants to put each of those slices on its own plate. So basically this is asking, what's a unit fraction? How many slices would he put on each plate? And the answer is actually 1/8. If each of these is going on its own plate, 1/8 would go on each plate. The total that got eaten was 3/8 and 5/8 left. So actually, how much his friends ate doesn't have anything to do with our problem at all. We can even just cut this out. Because what it's asking is, what is the unit fraction? What part of the pie would he put on each plate if each slice is going on its own plate? So what is our unit fraction? I didn't read my problem very well, guys. Great catch. It would be 1/8. That would be how much he's putting on each plate. So hopefully that helps with some of the problems that we were having some difficulties with. If it doesn't, let me know. Great job, guys.